This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
Well, it's time for the Monday Night Raw review here on the WWE Podcast. It's Tuesday, October 24th, 2023, and I want to welcome our newest members to the Patreon family, Arturo and I think it's Amanda, but it's AMADAD, and then there's, I'm not sure if that's one word or two, or one name or two, so I'm just going to say Ahmad. How about Ahmad and Arturo? Thank you both for joining the family and enjoy your ad-free content. If you want to join these guys and be able to get everything ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the way to go. Now, Monday Night Raw took place last night as we are a week and a half away from the Crown Jewel event. And a lot happened on Monday Night Raw as we got a couple more matches added to the card, and one of those is the Fatal 5-Way match for the Women's Championship, the Women's World Championship. And that, to me, stood out for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't know the last time we had a Women's Fatal 5-Way match for the championship. And two, it seems as if they are taking full advantage of women now being able to compete in Saudi Arabia by just throwing as many women as they can into the championship picture. And hey, fine. I could be reading the room there incorrectly, but that seems to be the case. As if you remember, I believe it was, who was the first women's match in Saudi Arabia? Was it Natalya and Lacey Evans? That sounds right to me, but either way, the women are still going to be covered, like they're about to head out for an afternoon of skiing and covered head to toe, but that's the rules, and they have to play within the rules. So that to me those are a couple. I don't dislike the match on its face. I mean, I dislike the fact that you have any multi-person match automatically turns into a no DQ. That never made sense to me. Any triple threat by default, any fatal 4-way by default, fatal 5-way, whatever, is just by its nature no DQ. That doesn't make any sense to me. Someone may say, well, it means, if someone uses a weapon, that means it ends the match. And that's not fair to the other competitor. It's like, no, that person just gets eliminated. They are removed from the match. That's all. If someone's DQ'd in a triple threat, that person's removed and it becomes one-on-one. Simple. I've seen no issue with that, but they have just decided forever and a day, it's written in stone that every triple threat or fatal 4-way or fatal 5-way must be no DQ, but I digress. So we have 5 women in this match, including Rhea Ripley, who has really been kind of an outside figure in her own story for quite a while. And while the odds are stacked certainly against her to win this, can you really see anyone in this matchup taking the belt from Rhea? Let's be serious for a minute. If we're Lance Storm here taking a line from him, there's no way, right? There's absolutely no way Rhea Ripley could lose this match. But stranger things have happened, and I wouldn't bet the house on it, but boy, it doesn't seem likely. And they're just taking every woman that's available, throwing her into the ring and having a match in Saudi Arabia. I mean, like when you look at Shayna Baszler, not a chance. Nia Jax, not a chance. Zoe Stark doesn't even get any mic time. Not a chance. The only one that has a halfway decent chance, and by that I mean like less than 5%, of course, is Raquel Rodriguez, but they've already been down that road before with her in championship matches. She also is not over at all, because when you look at what the fans do every time they see her, they just kind of mildly, meekly support her. They don't boo her, but that's a sign of miscasting in my estimation. So when you look at all these women, it's everyone else and Rhea Ripley is kind of what it is. Now, Rhea Ripley had so many segments on Raw last night, and I don't know if that's a complaint. It's more of an observation. I wouldn't do that every week. And I know Rhea's got a lot of TV time, but especially last night seemed to have really rang true with Rhea Ripley getting so many segments in. One of the longest backstage segments I've seen in a long time with Seth Rollins. And one that just kept going and going and going. And I'm like, is this meant to be this long? Are they ad-libbing? What's happening? And again, I have nothing bad to say about it. Rhea Ripley's on a recruitment mission. She is the leader of the Judgment Day. No matter what anybody says, she's the one wheeling and dealing and making deals and calling the shots. She is. She just is. And nobody's complaining about it. At least not that anyone I've heard. Makes sense. But she has been trying to recruit Seth and Drew, among others, into the Judgment Day. And I think that's a fun strategy. That's a fun thing to do because most of these recruitments are dead ends. Most. But there's probably going to be one that's not a dead end and you don't know which one that is. So they're throwing out several options of fans having to think, wait a minute, well, what if Seth actually does join? Well, what if Drew does join? And Drew's been teasing turning heel for a couple of months now. What happens? So that's a smart play by WWE, intentional or not, to have several false leads put out there on purpose for fans to have to think about what would happen if. So I like that. Now, do I think Seth Rollins is going to be the one to join Judgment Day? I do not. I don't. And especially when Rhea Ripley made the comparison to or Roman Reigns, and he said that he's nothing like Roman Reigns. He doesn't want to be anything like Roman Reigns. So that could be also a tease to an eventual Seth Roman match that is long overdue. Nearly 2 years now. It was Rumble of 22, I believe. And that match even was, I think, kind of a waste because it was an exhibition with no follow-up. But I digress. So, with Rhea trying to convince Seth and Seth rejecting the Judgment Day outright, it's a fun dynamic. And then you throw in Drew McIntyre, who is a legitimate threat to Seth's championship in a way that I don't think we've seen since Seth became champion in late May of this year. So you throw that into the equation, and you're thinking, well, is Drew going to do what he's done over the last several weeks, where he takes advantage of someone distracted and hits a Claymore and gets the victory? Maybe. I think that is very plausible, and sometimes WWE may be hinting at things and foreshadowing things they actually follow through on. Other times they just do things to make you think that they're going to go that path and then reverse course at the pay-per-view. So there's a lot of fun little nuanced things happening with the Judgment Day, happening with Drew, happening with Seth. And I'm liking all of it. And, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of Monday Night Raw here. We had Raw open with Damien and Finn Balor coming out, and Balor welcomed viewers to Raw. You guys know what I'm going to say here. Why? Can someone break the rules and just not do it and then see what effect it has? Because I know the answer of what effect it's going to have. The answer is none. The answer is none. What? Does anyone else care? I don't know why no one else cares about this. Because right off the bat, the very first thing you hear is something you're going to hear, which immediately chips away at the idea that anything could happen on this show when whoever is out there is instructed to say, no matter what is going on in the storyline, no matter how serious their injury is, no matter what's going on, you must welcome everyone to Monday. The wrestlers shouldn't be caring about the company. They should be caring about themselves. So whoever is responsible for this, I just stop it. What's the point? All right, moving on. So we got Balor doing an impression of Priest saying "All rise for the Judgment Day," and Cody Rhodes came out though. He introduced himself, or rather, he interrupted them with a suit, as he always does, and he was in the ring and said that, how does it feel to be interrupted? He said he has some choice words for the leader of the Judgment Day, but he could see that Rhea Ripley wasn't in the ring. And then Cody assumed they would claim there was no leader of the faction, but Rhea is their mommy too. And Cody said Ripley is cutting all the deals, including the one with the bloodline, and said that the low blow that Priest hit him with last week wasn't the final shot in their fight. And Priest reminded Cody that he also put him through the broadcast table. And then Priest brought up Cody's story and said it would be that Cody failed. That's going to be his story. And then Cody wanted to put that to the test. And Priest asked if Cody was going to pretend that he doesn't have a match against Jey. And Priest said they could meet at Crown Jewel. Cody accepted and said that they could give everyone a preview of Crown Jewel. And Priest said he liked that idea. That's when Rhea and Dom came out. And Jey came out to make the save, hit Dom from behind. Cody got the better of Priest. And then Cody cleared the table for a powerbomb. And that's when Mr. J.D. McDonough showed up and chop blocked Cody from behind. And then Priest placed a chair against the steps with McDonough holding Cody. And Priest slammed another chair on Cody's leg, which was up against the chair. So they injured essentially his leg, his shin, his ankle is where they were headed. And that's when things were broken up. And so I like this because while Cody and Priest are official one-on-one for the Crown Jewel event, which doesn't, by the way, feel like a Crown Jewel event, or worthy of a Crown Jewel or any PLE at this stage, worthy of a pay-per-view. But at the same time, they've now leveled the playing field with telling the story of Cody's ankle or whatever is injured and making that the focus of attention, where that's going to be a target for Priest over the next couple of weeks and during the match itself. So that the story is going to be, hey, can Cody gut it out? Can Cody work through the pain? Is he going to be cleared for action? And the answer is to all of that, presumably, of course, yes. The story is and I know what they're doing. And if you're new to wrestling, and I know I get a lot of newer fans, not just to this show, but to wrestling itself, what they're doing here, for any seasoned viewer of professional wrestling, you know what this is. They are trying to create sympathy for the babyface, which is Cody Rhodes here. They are trying to make it so you feel some kind of emotion for him, that, oh my God, he's fighting through this injury. How's he going to do it? I can feel his pain. And they're also making it look like he may not win the match because of his injury. And it also creates a target for the heel to go after during the match and do holds on and try to further damage him and all that. So they're trying to create sympathy for Cody. And then when he eventually presumptuously beats Priest at the event, the announcers are going to put him over like, what a gutsy performance. He's scratched and clawed through the pain. This is why Cody's going to finish his story the way he wants to. I mean, you can hear all the oversells from the announcers, can't you? So that's what this is all about. It's to at least create doubt in fans' minds that Cody's just going to steamroll Priest, but also simultaneously making sure that you feel sympathy for Cody during the match, as Cody's going to sell it like crazy. And then when he overcomes, you're going to say, wow, what a tough guy. What a gutsy performance, as Cole would say. That's what's happening here, which I guess further angers me as a Cody Rhodes babyface hater. All right. So what else happened? Let's see. The New Day versus Alpha Academy. Otis started out knocking shoulder block and then backdrop Kingston as they headed into a break. This ended in 10 minutes and 20 seconds with New Day and Xavier beating Alpha Academy. And the finish of this was as follows. Woods sent Gable to the floor. Otis returned and ate a couple kicks from Woods, who tagged out once Kofi, who was back on the apron. And then Kingston put Otis down with Trouble in Paradise and hit a flip dive onto Gable, and then Woods hit his elbow drop on Otis and pinned him. So, that I don't know what to make of this. New Day is trading wins back and forth with the Alpha Academy. Right now, I don't see it meaning much. However, with a heel tag team champions of the Judgment Day, perhaps this is trying to position and a deserving opponent like the New Day. At least on paper, that's what they're doing, right? Because getting a victory in a tag team division should mean something, even in a very cold match. So you could argue that, well, with this victory, it may place them in a title contention. So, something to think about. The NXT Women's Champion, Becky Lynch, was interviewed backstage by Jackie Redmond. And Jackie Redmond just towed the company line with the corporate language of, Becky, you are the definition of a fighting champion. It's like Vince is right there. I'm sorry. I don't think he is, but they haven't dropped this nonsense yet of just blatantly making every babyface champion having the same, just the same view on title defenses. Their same motto, their same outlook that, I'm going to be a fighting champion. I'm going to be a fighting champion. That was Seth's battle cry. I mean, forever. He's going to be a fighting champ, fighting. I'm going to be a fighting champion. Oh my God. Becky Lynch, a fighting champion. The announcer saying you're the definition of a fighting champion. Stop it. Please. It makes them look foolish. And why I say that is, you can't have respect for the championship if you allow anyone to have a chance at it. Sorry. That's actually self-serving. Why? Because if you allow anyone an opportunity at that championship, you're doing it for you, to prove you are a fighting champion, instead of the more important factor in this, which is the respect and lineage and value of the championship you're holding, which means not anyone gets an opportunity. Nobody should just be able to walk up and say, I want an opportunity. And then the babyface just reflexively says, well, I don't want to be looked at as a coward, so yeah, sure, come on in, we'll have a championship match. No. I mean, I know there's ways to do it that don't make the babyface look like a coward. Put the focus on the belt. There's a way. They think there's no way to thread that needle of the babyface rejecting championship challenges without making him look like a coward, but there are. There's ways to do it. Like I just said, instead of saying and turning away from the challenge, say, I would love to when you earn it. Do you know what this championship means? Do you know who's held it? Yeah, I have too much respect for this belt to just let anyone have a crack at it. Focus on the belt, not the self-serving virtues of just being. It's so just one-dimensional. There's no thinking beyond the surface of that particular rule with every babyface champion that has ever existed in the last 15 years or longer, really. But we got a Lynch talking about the Indi Hartwell match later on. We got a cool video of Ivar and Valhalla. It was at some Viking ceremony. Valhalla narrated it. Excuse me, and I enjoyed it. It was what we saw prior to them coming back with their shields, and then they pushed them to nearly the top. And I said, okay, here we go. Right, that when they were being reinvented and reborn, and then they just stopped. But it's reminiscent of that. So it's a sign that they could be doing something actually significant with Ivar and Valhalla. And I hope that they are, because Ivar is a hell of a talent. And do I think he's main event? Not at this particular moment. Doesn't mean he can't be. He doesn't have promos down. I mean, when was the last time we heard an Ivar promo? Right? But he's certainly got the look. He's got the size. And he has name value to some degree. All right. Then we got the long Rhea Ripley conversation about Rhea and Rollins, and Rhea saying they did everything they could. to try to take that world championship away from Rollins. Blah, blah. As I said, I don't need to go through the whole promo. But ultimately, we had Seth reject the offer from Rhea Ripley to join the Judgment Day. And as you'd expect. So let's see. Backstage, Natalya spoke with Indi Hartwell and Candice LeRae, and Natalya wished Hartwell good luck in her match. And LeRae asked about Tegan Nox, and Natalya said she got hurt at NXT and then added she's fine and will return soon, and then went back to wishing Hartwell good luck. Kind of a useless segment. But Becky Lynch then came out, and we got the match, the NXT Women's Championship. The match was 9.5 minutes. And it ended, as you'd imagine, with Becky Lynch beating Indi Hartwell, which is fine. I don't have an issue with this. It's all about building that next generation of talent. And I enjoyed this match. It went smooth. I think it could have gone a little bit longer. But it showed that, what Indi Hartwell can do. Now, she's in the ring with one of the best. That doesn't hurt. But she held her own. And there were some moments of doubt. That maybe, even though you knew in the back of your mind there's no chance yet of Becky Lynch, we eventually got a tap out by Indi Hartwell from the disarmer. So, again, a retention. But after the match, Lynch and Hartwell shook hands. And Valkyria, by the way, was outside the ring, as we're going to have another opportunity. She's going to have another opportunity, I believe, at Halloween Havoc tonight, as I'm recording this. So, all right, then Xia Li then hit a throat shot on LeRae backstage. Message for Hartwell. So Xia Li and Indi Hartwell look like they're going to be tying up in the near future. So, all righty. So, also, one thing of note. Xia Li was in the background of that Lynch promo. I should have mentioned that. I had to squint and see. I thought at first it was Rhea Ripley. I wasn't sure who. I thought it was then Jade Cargill. I couldn't tell. It was Xia Li. And that's, I would imagine, a foreshadowing of Xia Li eventually challenging Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's Championship. I would imagine. So, okay. We got Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce with their squabbles backstage. Why? Again, see... This is what they're already making about the GMs. Now, it's not the full any stretch, but this shouldn't be taking up any time at all. At all. There should be no time focused on brand rivalry or squabbles between GMs. You know why? Fans don't give a damn about it. I'm not going to go into the brand loyalty thing. But I will just say there's no such thing. If you're a fan of WWE, you don't give a damn about brand. You care about the stars. End of discussion. Full stop. Right? That means that anytime Nick Aldis comes to Raw or Adam Pearce goes to SmackDown, other than there for a business reason or a real reason, or they're there as a guest, or they were invited, they should not be there just to fill time, which is maybe what this was about, in several segments, to just shoot the breeze. Or Nick Aldis wanted to apologize, but then he's backstage seemingly trying to recruit people. And then Adam Pearce was very standoffish, on Nick Aldis. And then they shook hands, and then Nick Aldis left. This is, it's not bad TV. It's just, I just don't know when they're going to realize fans don't give a damn about brand supremacy. Now, is this the way they are for sure going for Survivor Series? Sure, the way they're going with a potential War Games match with Team SmackDown versus Team Raw? I hope not. I'm still on the fence about that. We have time after Crown Jewel to kind of dissect that. But if that's the way they're headed, it's a disaster. We've been there, done that, and there's no consequences, and fans don't really care. But also, even if it's not, again, why is someone who's a down guy or a Raw guy on the opposing brand, and they're able to just, by the way, walk in to the general manager's office with no security, no resistance? What kind of crack security team's back there? So I just have no time for this, whether it's a foreshadowing to a Raw versus SmackDown, or even if it's not. Keep on your separate brands. That was the whole point of getting GM, so you can run your own damn shows. And that's it. Leave each other. You guys should play such minimal roles. It's important. It's kind of like the glue that keeps the matches going, and punishments to be dished out when needed. That kind of thing is fine. But it doesn't need to be any kind of storyline with the GMs at all. We've been down this road a million times. How many times over the years seen Raw GMs and SmackDown GMs and their rivalries and their personal problems and their quandaries and their, no one cares. Nobody cares. It's a waste of time. All right. Now, let's continue on. One thing I did want to mention with actually, I'll get there because that's what's coming up next. The contract signing for the Fatal 5-Way. This is where, we had Adam Pearce say, whatever the number of security guys out there is, double it, all that. Fine. And knowing that he'd have a bunch of, women who just want to kill each other. And we had a lot of men out there, as I think all of the security, other than maybe one, was a man. And, which means they were just local talent, which is fine. All got their ass kicked by the women. Other than Rhea Ripley, who stood on the ringside and watched the chaos unfold. She's the person that just lights a fire and watches everyone else burn, which is, I mean that in a complimentary fashion to her character. But once again, you're seeing an example of the men being able to or not being able to do anything. Of course, they're security guards, but at the same time, it just furthers the constant issue I have with this immunity that the women have simply because they're women. And I hate it. And I think it's ridiculous, and it undercuts everything about the product. But the women all beat up the security guards, tossed them outside the ring, and it was focused on Nia Jax and Raquel Rodriguez. That was supposed to be the big moment, of which the fans kind of went, the fans kind of looked at this. They saw this face off, and they were like, I mean, they thought that was going to be a moment when the fans were like cheering, and the fans just kind of went, yeah, I could take it or leave it. And boy, do they really dislike Nia Jax. And I love it because you can tell this is the kind of heat of almost just, it's not like, oh, cool, we can't wait to see someone beat you up. It's just, get out of my face. I don't want to even see you. This is not good heat. It's a channel changing heat. And that's really believe that's how I feel about the fans when they boo her. It's a different kind of negative reaction. So the fans did chant, let them fight, though. There was that chant. And I think it's just out of like fans love to see chaos. So that there was that. All right. Let's see. We got the next match of Giovanni Vinci versus Johnny Gargano. And this match was very quick, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And it ended with Tommaso Ciampa showing up and taking out Kaiser. And then in the ring, Gargano hit one final beat on Vinci and then pinned him. So Gargano beat Vinci in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And it looks like we have DIY back together. So, all right. Again, not really much of a story there, though. I don't know how much you can really tell in 2 minutes and 40 seconds, but all right. We got a Nakamura promo and said that a brutal beating from him is a beautiful thing, and he was happy to give Ricochet that experience. Nakamura said Ricochet's efforts were an honorable sacrifice. Nakamura said he wants to find an opponent who will inspire the yet-to-be-seen self within me. Boy, that's a load of words. And release the expression, still trapped in my dreams. Nakamura asked who is worthy enough to set him free. That almost felt a little bit like a Bray Wyatt promo, like it came from Shinsuke Nakamura. You look at the context and go, that feels like Bray Wyatt. Like, look at this sentence. Inspires the yet-to-be-seen self within me. Release the expression, still trapped in my dreams. And talking about being set free. That's Bray Wyatt. It's such a shame that he passed, because imagine this Shinsuke Nakamura versus a Bray Wyatt. I mean, what a shame. All right. Logan Paul came out and he said that he keeps talking about that fool he beat up at his boxing fight last weekend, and said that once he becomes U.S. champion, though, he'll give fans something to talk about, and he might even need to come back to Raw to defend his championship. Dom came out and Paul was applauding Dom. As always, the fans just completely drowned out Dom, which is getting a bit old. I actually want to hear what Dom has to say. Like, it's okay, I get it. Like, it's just kind of a trendy thing that the fans the week before do, and then they want to do it because they want to be credited with something like that and participate. I understand all that. But eventually you have to realize that the people at home, which you just were the week before you went, want to hear what Dom actually has to say. I understand that kind of heat is like a dream for a heel. I mean, so many heels who have come and gone, hundreds of them over the years, would dream of that kind of heat. But at this point, is that heat that Dom is getting, is that real heat, or is that just kind of trendy, this is what we do when Dom talks heat? I honestly don't know the answer. I'm going to throw that out to you guys. Do you guys think that what people are doing on a week-to-week basis is actually people still strongly feeling like they hate Dom and don't want to see him? Or do you think it's just kind of like trendy, that's what you do? It's kind of like the whoa and Cody's entrance music. But Paul invited Samantha Irvin inside the ring and told her that he owes her some thanks. And Irvin stood up and got into the ring and wanted to have her practice announcing him the new United States champion, and she wouldn't do it. And that's when Ricochet came out and took Paul down. Dom tried to get involved, but Ricochet knocked him down, and then Dom went after Ricochet, and he put him down with a knee. And the Ricochet tried a 450 splash, but he rolled out of it because Paul pulled Dom from the ring to save him. But boy, tell me Dom and Logan Paul are not a perfect combination. I know that Logan Paul probably won't join the Judgment Day, but they just fit so well together, don't they? It's a dynamic I don't know if I ever knew I wanted. Let's see if it continues. All right. Let's see. We got the women's tag team champions of Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Natalya and Nikki Cross in a non-title match. And this was 3 minutes, and it ended with Piper Niven hitting a cross body block and getting the 3 count. So I don't know what to think of this. This kind of feels like how long the division has been disrespected is kind of alarming. Now, the men's division hasn't been any better, or at least not that much better. But at least from time to time, it gets some shine and gets some main event. The women's tag titles, I mean, they just need to be burned. Really. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire need to put some kind of, just some kind of spell on the thing. Or lift the curse. Something. To just expel whatever demonic force is inside of these tag team belts. Or even the tag team division itself. They just can't get off the ground. It's never a focus. It feels like kind of like retro back to the Divas era when the women are getting like 3-minute matches. It's never a good thing. So, okay. We got a Jey Uso McIntyre kind of interaction backstage that wasn't anything too significant other than McIntyre telling him, how does it feel to have the bloodline cost him a championship? Nothing too significant there. Miz was backstage, though. That's a name we haven't talked about in a while. And he's talking about how he's the greatest IC champion of all time and how they haven't had anything for him to do. And Rhea showed up and interrupted him. And then he asked why the camera was following her as she walked away. So Miz is going through another existential crisis of him being ignored while other people are getting the spotlight. So small thing for the Miz to hold on to over the next several weeks. Then we get Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. This match was 14 and a half minutes. This was really good. Really good. I mean, this is pay-per-view quality stuff. wasn't match of the year, but some of those false finishes, like the Blue Thunder Bomb, were really well done. The Sunset Bomb for a 2 count. There was This Is Awesome chants being rung through the arena. Really fun. And Drew did beat Sami Zayn in 14 minutes and 30 seconds. And it continues the streak of Drew getting victories because he has distractions on his side. Now, Rhea wasn't out there to help him, although, some people thought there were, like Seth, but that wasn't the case. However, Drew was just taking advantage of the baby faces, or the people, his opponents rather, in the ring that are not focused. So it's not on Drew here. All right. Really fun match. And we got Nick Aldis was backstage. Nick Aldis was in too many damn segments for being the SmackDown GM, as I've said. He was talking to Caden Carter and Katana Chance. That's what I said. He basically left him. He excused himself from the arena. But Bronson Reed versus Akira Tozawa then happened with Maxine Dupree. And Reed beat Akira Tozawa in 2.5 minutes with a tsunami splash. Dominant victory for Reed as expected. But, I mean, come on. He nearly won the IC title last week. You think he's going to have any trouble with Akira Tozawa? Of course not. So, then we got Drew and Seth Rollins talking backstage. And Rollins congratulated him. And McIntyre told Rollins that he's paranoid and said he didn't hear Rollins say no to because Rollins accused him of being the newest member of the Judgment Day. They both said that no Judgment Day, may the best man win come Crown Jewel. Let's see what else happened. The main event here, Jey Uso versus Damien Priest. And this ended with Priest beating Jey Uso in 12 minutes and 15 seconds. So this match was, again, fine. It had some nice moments here, hitting the flatliner for a 2 count, the spear, and hitting a top rope splash. Nice false finish. Then, this is where things got weird. And I think it was just a timing issue for me, or for them, not for me. But after Jay hit the top rope splash, the referee was looking down. And I was thinking to myself, why the hell isn't he counting? And it was because he was waiting for the interference from Finn Balor. Balor was about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds late. And, the referee, instead of counting the damn and doing his job, was more concerned about someone on the apron. So the referee was distracted in the match he's officiating. And it was just kind of weird. I'm like, bro, count about, Finn Balor. But Damien Priest got the victory after Balor grabbed Jay's leg and pulled it to crotch him on the middle rope, and then Priest hit South of Heaven and got the 3 count. After the match, Balor attacked Jay and threw punches and the coup de grace finish. Of course, Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Sympathy, as I've told you right at the beginning of the show, Mr. Gutsy comes out and he's limping with a bad ankle. And that's when Cody hit Priest with a chair and then tried to do the same thing to Priest. And Cole was trying to excuse Cody for what he's doing by saying it's an eye for an eye. And then Balor pulled Priest out of the ring to make the save. And the referees ran out and ushered Priest and Balor to the back. So this was, again, an okay Raw. It did add a couple of matches to the card. Namely, you got an official Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest at Crown Jewel. You also got an official 5-way match for the Women's Championship, the WWE, the Women's World Championship. But it wasn't a must-watch Raw, I have to say. They did promote SmackDown with LA Knight and Roman Reigns' contract signing and told us about the other upcoming matches for Crown Jewel. And I've always thought that the show before the final go-home show is usually one that I would not want to be a part of, because they can't quite make it a boiling point. They can't quite get to the point where they can, put all their cards on the table to try to get you to buy the show or buy the a subscription to the network, but they have to continue forward and they have to fill 3 hours. So it's always kind of a show that I would, if I was a city on that second to last show before the event, I'd go, Usually it's not the most engaging show, but there was some star power here, and there were some fun moments and fun matches, and a lot of Rhea Ripley. My God, a lot of Rhea Ripley. And, some advancements, like as I said, in the Crown Jewel card. So we've got a lot to look forward to as we get closer and closer to the Crown Jewel event. I know, again, I'm sure there's something I missed here tonight with the Raw. I mean, it's tough to really get through every little thing with a 3-hour show. Not easy to do, but hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this Raw review. I'm going to continue to put out maybe another video tomorrow. I did one earlier this week from my couch. All right. So I just did it from my phone. Completely unprofessional, but it is what it is, right? And we have also the mailbag coming tomorrow if you want to participate in that. And we have the preview and prediction show coming next week. Did I say it was this week? If I did, I apologize. The preview and prediction show should be next week, as the pay-per-view is next week. But we have the adult version of the podcast called The After Dark Show, available only at the SmackDown tier and above on Patreon with Anthony DeMarco hosting. A very adult version of the show that drops every single week. That is available to you, as well as Apple Podcasts, guys. I know a lot of you like the Apple Podcast app, as I do, and you don't want to have to download another app. Well, you can go ad-free right in that app. Check it out. So, all right. You can also go to www.podcast.com or our merch store, which is the link right on the homepage of the show, or of our podcast on our website. So check that out. Tomorrow is, again, the mailbag. So send in your questions, send in your voicemails, and I'll do my best within the 1 hour to get them to you and answer them. The one thing I would say is, if you guys wouldn't mind, maybe trim down some of your emails. I know you have a lot to say. I'm not saying make them one paragraph or one single line, but read it back to yourself. If it takes you like 15 minutes to get through, maybe trim it down. Give me the Cliff Notes. I think it creates a more to the point, easier to listen to experience. And it also allows me to do mailbag in one show. So if people can, just as a whole, not singling out anybody, just be more concise of like, hey, I think this, what do you think about that? Right? Say, hey, you want to go through some scenarios or fantasy booking? That's cool. But it also allows more people to get time on the show. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it. Take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.